my mind. Say CNN or any of the major newscasting organizations, and somebody's sitting at the desk in front of the camera and reading the text from Isaiah. And that might be a bit of a stretch for most of us. I don't think that will happen. But there's something about what we read in Isaiah that we hear in the news almost every day, almost all day. That is to say, Isaiah is speaking a prophetic word, and that prophetic word is saying that God is not very happy with what is going on in the earth. Now, I won't ask you to tell me some of the things that you have noticed paying attention to the media, but I suspect that you are well aware that we do not live in the best of times. It may not be the worst of times, but it cannot be considered the best of times. If we were in a little boat right now, all of us together, the human race, we might suggest that it's a little bit like the day in which the disciples, the followers of Jesus, were in their little boat, and the water was getting so stormy that they thought the boat might capsize and they might all perish. And in some sense, the human race now is in a boat like that, and the waters are increasingly troubled, and many of us are beginning to wonder what the outcome will be. Now, I would like to say a few words about my personal experience in the world. One of the things I did while I was away from work was to transcribe a small document that my mother had written for me. In 1984, I wrote my mom a note and I sent her a blank book, and I asked her if she would consider just jotting down some of her memories of our early life together. And on my birthday in 1985, that's when I was 35 years old, my mom presented me with that little book, and this past little while I have turned it into, I published it, I guess, for my brothers and sisters and my aunties and uncles, because I think Mom's memories are very precious to us all. And in the same way, for each and every one of us, the memory of how we came to be where we are matters deeply, because it shapes us, that past experience. And so I, because of my life's experience, which my mom noted in her little book, we were immigrants after the Second World War. We were poor Dutch farmers. Dad was a bit of a dreamer who could not hold fast to a job, and so we were forever at the mercy of fate. And we depended on the church for ordinary things like food and drink, because we needed their charity. We depended on the government for social services because we were so poor. And this was especially so on the times when Dad would leave us and go off on his adventures, because Dad was that kind of a fellow. But reflecting on my experience as a boy, I realized that I have a deep sympathy for the prophetic message that we heard from Isaiah today. That is to say, my experience has shaped me to be sensitive to the problem of some people having too much and some people having not nearly enough. Two interesting little things. One is about obesity. Almost the majority of obesity exists in our advanced culture. We, the enlightened ones, seem to have gotten off track when it comes to taking care of our bodies. So we have an epidemic of diseases related to diet, which are manifest in a basic way as obesity. And the percentage of people suffering from this obesity, if we put them here, there's an equal percentage here suffering from malnutrition and starvation. This is not a question of there being enough food. It's a question of some people having too much food and other people not having enough food. It's a question of balance. It's a question of justice. And that's what the prophet Isaiah is on about. The problem of an unjust social economy. and how that unjust economy is perpetuated by power-seeking persons, and how that power-seeking cohort is strengthened by the silence of the great majority. So when the prophet speaks, denouncing the times as being corrupt and decaying and liable to very negative consequences, it does not do so to make us feel guilty or ashamed. The prophets do not speak to condemn people. They speak that people might be healed. Now, Jesus quotes this sentiment once where he says, I have not come into the world to condemn the world, but that through me the world might be saved. Now, I want to make a small little clarification here about what the word save means when Jesus speaks it and he echoes the prophets. It does not mean when you die you get to go to a good place no matter how bad this place has been for you. It may mean that, but that's not the center of it. Salvation in the Bible means very simply healing, restoring, finding what was lost. And what gets lost when human experience is unbalanced, unjust, is human dignity, human identity. The true nature of our being is lost. It's lost on the oppressed side because they just don't have the resources to make ends meet. It's lost on the oppressor's side because they become something that is not good for them, greedy and avaricious. Now, it would maybe not be helpful to continually emphasize the horrible place that we are in as a human race. But we do need to stop from time to time and pay attention to what is going on around us, each and every one of us. This is not the responsibility of ministers and teachers and prophets. This is the responsibility of every single person who calls on Jesus as a source of hope and strength. What we have now is what I am going to call an investment opportunity. What the prophet describes in his day, the day when the Babylonian Empire was on the rise and the Hebrew people were entering into a period what they called the captivity. In a time of oppression, in a time of greed and avarice, in a time of bloodshed, the prophet calls it, when the unjust cause the helpless and the lost to suffer. Jesus offers a remedy, and the remedy is offered to us in the selection that we read from the gospel. Jesus is offering us an opportunity at this point in our common history to do something remarkable, and that is to choose which side you'd like to be on. And that is to say, do you want to be over here, making the oppressors happy, making the power-seeking people happy, making the money-loving people happy? Or do you want to live here, making those who most need to be cared for feel that they are? That those who are most alone feel that they are not alone? We have a choice to get involved. And that's what the gospel is talking about when Jesus says, sell everything you have. Get rid of all those things that encumber you, that demand your time and your energy. Make your life simple. Make your life focused. And if you want an image for that, today's a good day. We're going to be having our summer games soon. We have the Olympics down south. Right now, we are seeing persons who at a very early age made a decision to invest in their future. And what did that investment look like? When their friends were partying, when their friends were going out and just whooping it up and just having fun and just doing whatever they wanted to do, these athletes were getting up early in the morning. They were exercising. They were associating themselves with coaches and trainers. They were being equipped. They had a vision of what they might accomplish, and they dedicated themselves to that vision. And some of them will win, and some of them will not win. But I heard one person say this: who could ever consider somebody who has made it to the Olympics or who has made it to our summer games as a loser just because you didn't come in first, second, or third? These people are winners, every single one of them, because of what they have made of their lives through the resources that they had available and the determination that they had made to do something with those resources. So here we have Jesus talking to a group of people when the Roman Empire was in about exactly the same state as our present empire is. It seems as if politics has gone totally off the rails. It was that way in Rome. It seems as if the love of power was dominating the day, then as now. And Jesus said to the people, don't let your imaginations go over there and say, oh God, it is so helpless. It is so hopeless. There's absolutely nothing we can do about it. Let's just keep ourselves safe and secure as best as we are able. Jesus says, no. Take a risk. Step out in faith. Count your resources. Count your abilities. Take a good stock of who you are as a person and who we are as a community of persons, and decide to invest that in the future. There's a text, some of you may know where it is, that says, let us eat and drink and be merry, for tomorrow we're going to die. That's okay if that's your choice. But my hope is that each one of you is now thinking about how it is that you can make a difference for the future of our planet and all of its people. And in a particular way, and I draw on an image from my youth, it was Cat Stevens who sang, and he said, I know we've come a long way. We're changing from day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? And so this to me is my bottom line motive. This is what I hope will encourage you to make some decision about what you might contribute to your own future, to our community future, and the future of the planet. What might you do so that, as the Cree people say, the seventh generation will have a different experience than the experience we are having now? We all have participated in what is going on. We are all invited to participate in the change that is coming. The prophetic spirit in Isaiah is loose in the earth. And you may think, oh, that George is always blabbing on and on about us, about being just and being merciful and being humble. But right now there are voices in every country. There are voices in every community saying, the opportunity is here. Invest in the future. And by that I want to be clear. It's a choice. The prophet Joel says, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. This is an apocalyptic image. We now must decide who we are going to follow. And my encouragement to you is to follow Jesus. And I do not mean the religion about Jesus. That's another thing that the prophet Isaiah is on about. There is no shortage of religion in the world right now. In fact, some religions are getting very strident. There are Christians who are hoping that we will build walls to keep all the others out. And that we'll build bombs and tanks and guns to make sure that they don't ever dare to threaten us. Say no to that. However you can, wherever you have the opportunity, say no to the voice of power that is trying to seduce you into supporting them. Let Jesus invite you to a new course of action. What can I do? What can I say? What can I bring? Ask those questions. We are a well-resourced people. we could accomplish some remarkable things right here at home as well as abroad. So, just to make it come to some kind of conclusion, I believe the Spirit of God is moving in the earth. It is not a religious spirit, it is a justice-seeking spirit. It is the spirit of love and kindness. It is the spirit of compassion and tenderness. And I believe on the last day, when God makes the evaluation of who it was that we really were, we will not be measured if we belong to the right religion. We will be measured if we took time to give a cup of cool water to a thirsty soul. That is to say, every little act of compassion that we express, God will notice, and God will appreciate, and God will change the tune from Isaiah to say, I love my people. I'm happy with what they're doing. I'm pleased with the direction that they're choosing. Please, friends, see this historical moment as an investment opportunity, but invest in your neighborhood. Invest in your country. Invest in your planet. Do not invest any more in those structures which are seeking only to profit by causing harm. God loves the earth. God loves all the people of the earth. And God does this through our ordinary lives. Our kind words, our listening ears, our helping hands, our feet ready to go the distance with the purpose of God. May you be touched by the Spirit as you go from this place, because Sunday morning is just the center of the circle. We come in, and then we go out, and we come in, and we go out. May you notice this week how it is that you have opportunity to make a positive difference. And God willing, we will see the change we're along.